We're talking about Tamriel, the grand continent that serves as the backdrop for so many incredible stories. It's far more than just land masses and borders. It's, a living tapestry woven with unique cultures, deep histories, and constant, often violent conflict.
Yeah.
Get ready to explore its very foundations.
That's exactly right. Our mission today is to embark on a deep dive into the very heart of Tamriel, its provinces.
Right.
We've gathered, a stack of rich source materials, from ancient historical accounts to modern geographical surveys, to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge specifically for you.
Okay.
Our goal is to provide a comprehensive shortcut to understanding this vast continent, province by province, race by race, revealing the fascinating interplay of geography, culture, and power that has shaped its entire existence.
So what can you expect from this deep dive? We'll begin with a high-level overview of Tamriel's political and geographical divisions, sort of setting the stage.
Then we'll move into individual spotlights on each province, delving into their unique landscapes, major settlements, and the dominant races who call them home. We'll uncover their distinct cultural nuances, their intricate political systems, and the fascinating spectrum of their religious beliefs, from the more common Aedra and Daedra to deeply localized spiritual practices.
And of course, we'll highlight the key historical events and, crucially, the interprovincial tensions that continually reshape the continent.
It's going to be an incredible, insightful journey. Okay, let's unpack this with a broad view. Tamriel is a truly massive continent, fundamentally divided into distinct provinces.
It really is.
You've got everything from freezing tundras to scorching deserts and ancient towering forests to bustling urban centers. Each one feels like its own unique world.
And what's truly fascinating here is that the concept of a province in Tamriel isn't always as neat and unified as we might imagine or, as it is in our own world.
It's often not a singular, cohesive nation, but rather a complex collection of varied regions and peoples. Take Black Marsh, for instance.
Ah, yeah.
Many Argonians there don't even see it as a single nation in our sense. The closest they have to a word for it in their native Gel language is Kronkathatif, which roughly translates to everything egg.
Everything egg.
Interesting. Yeah, they struggle with the idea of being a single province because each part is so different, and tribal loyalties often supersede any broader political identity. This geographic and climatic diversity, from arid deserts to dense swamps and towering mountain ranges, is actually the root of wildly divergent cultures and political systems across the continent. It's almost as if the land itself dictates the people.
And it stands to reason that this immense diversity, while endlessly fascinating, isn't always harmonious. In fact, it often feels like the very catalyst for constant conflict.
Precisely. If we connect this to the broader Tamrielic narrative, throughout its long and often tumultuous history, these fundamental differences stemming from geography, distinct cultures, and even ancient origins have led to constant tensions, deep-seated rivalries, and open warfare.
Yeah.
These interprovincial conflicts and deep-seated cultural clashes define much of Tamriel's historical narrative and profoundly shape the broader events you might know from the games. It illustrates a continent that is, at its core, politically fractured.
Politically fractured.
This fragmentation isn't just a minor detail, it's a defining characteristic of Tamriel, influencing alliances, betrayals, and the rise and fall of empires.
From the fragmented heart of Tamriel, let's travel to a realm of ancient pride and arcane societies, the Summerset Isles. This is the ancestral home of the Altmer, or High Elves. Visually, you can imagine an almost ethereal land, seemingly insulated by the sea, a place of immense power where ancient magic is still deeply woven into society.
It's a striking image, isn't it? The Altmer themselves are quite distinctive in appearance. They are typically tall, often a full head taller than average men or mer, with slender, graceful builds and long limbs.
Very elegant looking.
Yes, their features are refined, and their skin tones are notably various shades of gold, which immediately sets them apart. Their hair is usually fair, blonde, ginger, white, or silver, though darker shades exist, and their eyes can range from blue to gold, often described as luminous or piercing. In both posture and expression, they project an air of superiority or aloofness, which is deeply reinforced by their cultural upbringing and beliefs.
So where do these high elves come from? What's their foundational story, and how does it inform that sense of superiority you mentioned?
Well, the Altmer are considered the most direct, unaltered descendants of the original Altmer elves.
The original elf.
Exactly. When these ancient elves left their mythical homeland of Aldmeris, which, some scholars debate might be more allegorical than literal, they settled primarily in the Summerset Isles, first landing on the shores of Auradon. Their early history saw the rapid organization of powerful arcane societies.
Right?
Their undisputed pinnacle achievement was the construction of the Crystal Tower. This wasn't just a building. It was a monument to unity, arcane mastery, and a profound metaphysical principle known as crystal-like law.
Wow.
It served as a beacon of Aldmeri civilization, a symbol of their magical prowess and the very foundation of Altmeri identity, remaining unsurpassed in its architectural and metaphysical significance until the much later rise of the Arcane University on the mainland. This sense of inherent magical superiority and ancient lineage is a core part of who they are.
Speaking of ancient arcane societies, you mentioned powerful groups. Does that include something like the Khajiit Order? They always struck me as particularly fascinating.
They absolutely do. The Khajiit Order's origin is rooted in a significant theological and social transformation among the early Aldmer. Okay, as Aldmeri society shifted from a general veneration of all ancestors to a more hierarchical worship of specific ancestor heroes, those claimed as divine progenitors by the ruling elites, a group of conservative Aldmeri mystics rejected this.
Ah, a schism.
Pretty much. They favored the original universal ancestor worship and formed the Khajiit Order, settling on the island of Artium. Their philosophy, the Elder Way, emphasized introspection, meditation, and a deep mastery of mysticism, which they saw as a bridge between the mortal perception and the very architecture of the universe. It was a path to influencing reality itself. What's particularly intriguing is that they mysteriously vanished, along with Artium, for nearly 500 years, only to reappear later.
500 years, just gone.
Gone. And they were also known to use incredibly powerful artifacts like the Obscuros, a scrying device that could project visions as holographic constructs. Very advanced stuff.
So how did this historically insulated, proud culture then engage with the broader world of Tamriel? What was their role on the global stage, especially since they seem to prefer isolation?
Well, historically, their insulation, provided by the surrounding seas, did allow them to remain somewhat detached from mainland problems, though they had their own internal conflicts and the recurring Slowed and Mjolnir invasions to deal with.
Right, not completely untouched.
Not at all. However, this changed significantly. Amidst the chaos of the Interregnum, a period of severe political fragmentation in the Second Era Queen Eren formed the first Aldmeri Dominion in 2E 580.
Ah, the Dominion.
Yes, by allying with the Bosmer of Valenwood and the Khajiit of Elsweyr through the Elden Accord. Their propaganda was clear.
Wait.
They decried what they saw as the recklessness of men and promoted elven rule, genuinely believing their races alone possessed the wisdom and restraint to properly steward Tamriel.
A pretty bold claim.
It was. And this ideology led them directly into the Three Banners War against the Daggerfall Covenant and Ebonheart Pact for control of mainland Tamriel, a major conflict that reshaped the continent.
And then the Oblivion Crisis hit in the Third Era. That must have been a catastrophic event for such a proud and ancient people, especially if their identity was tied to things like the Crystal Tower.
It was profoundly traumatic. As Daedra overran Tamriel, the seas around Summerset became turbulent, leading to the deaths of many Altmer fleeing the mainland and the wreckage of their ports.
Devastating.
And most devastatingly, the Crystal Tower itself, that paramount symbol of Altmeri identity, fell to powerful Daedric forces. This collapse wasn't just a physical loss. It dealt a severe psychological blow to the very foundation of Altmeri identity, fueling their shift towards the aggressive xenophobia we see today, like in the Thalmor's Rise.
Ah, so that's a major turning point.
A huge one. The Empire, already weakened and leaderless after Emperor Martin's septum's sacrifice, was simply too diminished to provide effective aid. By 4E201, the Altmer, particularly through the influence of the Thalmor, a militant, highly nationalistic faction, had attained a position of substantial power across Tamriel, especially with Hammerfell gaining independence, and the Empire itself embroiled in a civil war in Skyrim, which, some sources even suggest was covertly abetted by the Thalmor.
Interesting connections.
Indeed. While the Isles have opened up somewhat, as evidenced by foreign chefs like Urzha Grolorak being granted limited research access, many native Altmer remain deeply hesitant to outsiders.
Let's delve into their culture and society a bit more. How is it structured and how do they express themselves within such a rigid framework?
Altmeri society is famously rigid and formal, emphasizing order and hierarchy. Yet they have fascinating cultural expressions. Take the House of Reveries, a renowned troupe of masked performers.
Masked performers?
Yes. While they provide entertainment, their masked performances and stage names allow for a rare form of sanctioned cultural critique through symbolic characters and veiled dialogue, subtly circumventing the strict social decorum that otherwise governs their lives.
A clever way around the rules.
Exactly. Altmer public poetry, for example, is ritualized and metrically complex, used for rites of passage, funerals, and diplomacy. Improvisation is actually discouraged, as court bards and orators are seen not as entertainers, but as custodians of cultural memory, meticulously reciting ancestral genealogies and mythic sequences.
So tradition is paramount.
Absolutely. You also have groups like the Eyes of the Queen, Queen Erin's personal guard and intelligence organization, which played a central role in suppressing the Altmer supremacist group known as the Veiled Inhabitants.
The Veiled Inhabitants. They sound like trouble.
They were. Consisting mainly of disenfranchised veterans, they vehemently opposed Erin and her dominion, aligning secretly with Daedric princes like Marinus Dagon and later Molag Bal. This shows that even within their rigid society, there are significant internal divisions and power struggles.
What about their gods and their pantheon? How do the Altmer view the divine, especially given their unique creation myth?
Their creation myth is quite distinct and central to their beliefs. They interpret the creation of Mundus, our mortal world, by Lorkhan, whom they call the trickster god, as a cosmic catastrophe and a spiritual fall, severing elves from their ancestral eternity.
A catastrophe, that's a strong word.
It is. They believe that the Aedra, who remained to work on Nirn after Magnus departed, had offspring who grew progressively weaker with each generation, leading to the emergence of the first Altmer. Their chief deity is Auriel, the soul of Anuel, from whom most modern Altmer claim direct descent.
Auriel.
Yes. He is said to have opposed Lorkhan, led the faithful Aedra against him, and ascended to Aetherius, serving as the ultimate model of apotheosis for his followers. Their religion, then, is essentially a metaphysical roadmap back to the stars, with the ultimate aspiration being to transcend mortality and return to a divine state.
Back to the stars.
Their priesthood is highly hierarchical, with Aldarks leading monastic communities and ascendant curates managing the ceremonial rites of adulthood. There's a notable controversy around Stendarr, whom some Altmer denounce as merely a god of men and unworthy of worship.
Oh, the disdain again.
Right. Daedra worship is officially outlawed and culturally taboo, leading to harsh prosecution of clandestine cults. They also view the living gods of the Tribunal Temple in Morrowind as seditious heresies.
No love lust there?
Not much. Other significant figures in their pantheon include Magnus, the god of magic, who withdrew from creation but left behind the schematics for the mortal plane, and Trinimac, the champion god, a warrior spirit who, according to Altmer myth, was tragically transformed into Malakath due to the negative influence of the Dunmer.
Malakath, the orc god.
Exactly. This transformation is a point of contention for them, as they see it as a degradation caused by Dunmeri influence. And Lorkhan, as the missing god or doom drum, is seen as the most unholy of all higher powers for breaking their connection to the spirit plane, standing as an eternal enemy of the Altmer, but famously a hero to early mankind.
It's truly striking how different races interpret the same foundational figures. Lorkhan, for example. For one, he's a villain. For another, a hero. That, to me, really underscores how deep these interprovincial fractures go.
It really does. It's all about perspective and cultural narrative.
Now, let's pivot sharply from the refined elegance of the Summerset Isles to the dense, treacherous swampland of Black Marsh, often alternatively named Argonia. This is a place that truly embodies its inhabitants.
It's stark contrast. Black Marsh is a land of challenging conditions. Poor road infrastructure due to fast-growing grasses, flesh flies that prey on non-natives, and unpredictable seasonal floods.
That's rough.
Oh, it is. Naga raiders are a constant threat to caravans moving through the region. While the Empire made attempts to control strategic coastal regions like Lilmoth and Stormhold, the heart of the province has largely remained de facto independent outside imperial governance. And as we touched on earlier, the Argonians themselves don't even conceptualize it as a single nation in the way other races might. The closest they have is Kronkathatith, which means everything egg, suggesting a more holistic, interconnected understanding of their homeland.
And the Argonians, the lizard folk, or Saxhleel, are intrinsically linked to this environment. How does the Hist influence them, and how does that bond shape their daily lives?
Their connection to the histories is truly profound and defines their very being. The Hist sap is not just food or medicine, it becomes an Argonian's blood, their essence and their soul.
Their soul, wow.
Yes, when an Argonian dies, their soul doesn't just dissipate, it returns to the Hist, making their souls fundamentally different from those of other races and creating a unique spiritual cycle. This unique bond shapes their entire culture and philosophy. After a significant period known as Duskfall, When the Hist briefly ceased communication, Argonian culture underwent a paradigm shift. They came to understand Sithis not just as destruction, but as change.
Sithis as change. Interesting.
It led to a more cyclical view of time and the concept of Shunatai, the fear of death and impermanence. Modern Argonians now reject permanent stone cities, opting for temporary structures of mud and reeds that can be easily reclaimed by the marsh, believing this conquers Shunatai and allows them to become one with change, or Sithis.
So that's why they abandoned those ancient pyramids, the Zanmirs.
Exactly. They now see permanence as foolish. Their native language, Gel, is described as the closest speech to real thought, full of hisses and other noises that make it incredibly difficult for non-Argonians to speak correctly. Outsiders are even referred to as Ol, literally meaning not of Argonian tongue.
Ol.
Socially, they are primarily tribal, with each tribe possessing distinct customs and even appearances. You have, for example, the warlike Naga Kur, or Deadwater, who craft weapons and armor from the bones of their fallen, a stark contrast to the Brightthroats, who were cheerful artisans, known for their music, dance, and woodcarving. This tribal diversity is absolutely key to understanding Argonian identity.
So their art and daily customs must also reflect this deep connection to the marsh.
They do, profoundly. Their art is rich with reptilian symbolism, turtles, lizards, crocodiles, and their structures are often decorated with feathers and bright colors. They were masters of jewelry crafting and possess a sophisticated understanding of alchemy, even believing that moon phases dictate the precise positioning of calcinators for their concoctions.
Alchemy and moon phases.
Daily life includes unique customs like eating pickled frog eyes as a delicacy or medicine, or filling their pillows with live centipedes for a pleasant wriggling sensation.
Live centipedes.
Apparently so. They keep preserved hist leaves as sentimental reminders of their heritage. For entertainment, they invented unique sports like Tiba Hatse, or hip and tail ball, which uses only hips, elbows, and tails.
Hip and tail ball, that sounds difficult.
And Tiba Inu, a ritual sport with constantly changing, confusing rules. Their music includes the Vassasaddle, or frog pipes.
Frog pipes. You mean actual frogs?
Yes, live frogs are placed in compartments in clamshell-like instruments to produce tones, requiring great patience to tune. And in their death rituals, bodies are laid in the marsh to return to the Hist, often pinned down by grave stakes to prevent them from floating up or becoming undead bog blights.
Practical, in a grim way.
Very. Denying a soul this return to the Hist by binding it to an urn is considered a severe punishment for blasphemy.
It sounds like external interactions would be challenging, given such a unique culture and harsh environment.
Yeah.
How have they fared with their neighbors?
Their relations have been consistently troubled, defining much of their history. They have a long and painful history with the ancient Chimer, who later became the Dunmer, marked by long-standing border disputes and the widespread practice of Argonian slavery.
Slavery, right, a major point of conflict.
A huge one. Even after Morrowind's King Helseth abolished slavery much later, territorial disputes continued. Empress Hestra's imperial navy made an incursion in 1E 1033 near Blackrose, gaining first insights into Argonian life, but also encountering deep resentment, as Argonians made little distinction between imperial forces and the pirates they hunted. Under the Third Empire, Black Marsh mostly functioned as a prison state, with the heartland remaining independent.
So, exploited but never truly conquered.
Largely, yes.
Yeah.
In the Second Era, they joined the Ebonheart Pact, which notably led to the freeing of Argonian slaves and a period of autonomy.
Yeah.
However, the Old Merry Dominion later invaded Shadowfen in 2E 582, attempting to sever the Argonians' Hist connection and effectively drive them to extinction, though this plot was foiled by local resistance.
Another Dominion attack.
Then, in the Fourth Era, after the Oblivion Crisis and the catastrophic eruption of Red Mountain, Black Marsh seceded from the Empire. The Argonians, now empowered, invaded the weakened Morrowind, initially pushing deep into the country before being driven back by House Redoran.
Retaliation.
You could say that. A particularly horrific event was the appearance of Umbriel, a floating, soul-fueled city that moved through Black Marsh, destroying cities like Stormhold and Gideon, and killing all foreign entities, and assimilated Argonians in its path.
That sounds terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. Despite these trials, by the late 4E, Shadowscale's elite Argonian assassins were serving the King of Black Marsh, highlighting their enduring resilience.
Their resilience is truly remarkable, and their religion, besides the Hist, also centers around Sithis.
Yes, they deeply revere Sithis, whom even the Hist acknowledges as the Changer. The Clutch of Niswo is a dedicated priesthood that travels Murkmire, collecting and sharing the many truths of Sithis across the diverse tribe.
Many truths.
Interestingly, Zen, the Bosmeri god of toil, is thought to have originated in Argonian mythologies before being introduced to Valenwood. As for artifacts, there's the Eye of Argonia, a priceless king's jewel, the Fang of Hanik Demet, a Wamasu fang dagger with shocking properties, and the Remnant of Argon, an amber artifact created by the Root Whisper tribe's Hist to preserve their souls during Allied incursions, a powerful symbol of their bond with the Hist.
From the deep, dark swamps, we journey now to the vibrant, dense, subtropical forests of Valenwood, a place often described as a sea of endless green. This is the home of the Bosmer, the wood elves. It's also famous for its unique, gigantic, often migratory trees like Falinesti, which once served as a traveling capital but has now mysteriously rooted itself. Valenwood is a place where the lines between fauna and flora often blur, contributing to its untamed nature. You'll find carnivorous stranglers, spriggans, and even larger lurchers inhabiting these ancient forests.
Sounds dangerous.
It can be. The Bosmer themselves are incredibly nimble and quick, renowned as the best archers in all of Tamriel. Some even claim they invented the bow. Their agility makes them excellent scouts and thieves, but they are also quick-witted and capable of successful careers in scholarship or trade.
But the most defining aspect of their culture, the one everyone knows, is the Green Pact. Tell us about this famous and often misunderstood covenant.
The Green Pact is absolutely central to Bosmeri identity. A deeply religious covenant with the forest, Y'ffre, their first storyteller who shaped the world. Yes. Its core tenets are strict. They are religiously carnivorous and, to outsiders, cannibalistic. This is their meat mandate, which ensures no part of a felled creature is wasted. Crucially, they are strictly prohibited from harming the vegetation of Valenwood itself.
No harming plants at all.
Within Valenwood, no. However, they are not averse to using wooden or plant-derived products created by other races. Violating the pact is a grave offense, believed to lead to being cast into the ooze of formless chaos and incurring harsh punishments unleashed by the green itself. It's also linked to their ritualistic Wild Hunt, a terrifying transformation where Bosmer revert to primal, monstrous forms to protect the green from perceived threats.
The Wild Hunt sounds terrifying.
It is. Their own stories claim that Y'ffre, often called the Green or the Naming, shaped the formless ooze at the dawn of existence, giving the Bosmer their enduring form and the unique ability of spinning, a form of verbal and spiritual magic where they weave stories that can shape reality, provided they protect Y'ffre's first creation, the Green. This is their origin for the Green Pact.
Right.
Altmer and Imperial accounts are less fantastical, suggesting that early Altmer simply adapted to the hostile Valenwood over generations, forming a symbiotic bond with the forest to become the Bosmer we know today.
So how do they manage to live within the strictures of the Green Pact in their daily lives? It sounds incredibly challenging, especially for something as simple as getting light or writing.
It forces them into ingenious adaptations. For instance, because paper is typically disallowed by the Green Pact, they use vellum made from animal hides. They also developed a special ink that can dry even when submerged in water, perfect for writing permanent messages on porous stone or leaves.
Clever.
In the perpetually shadowy forest floor, they rely on luminous lichen and fungi for light, or use torch bugs attracted to nocturnal flowers. They even enjoy smoking bugs from bone pipes as a recreational activity.
Smoking bugs.
Okay. Politically, while nominally united under the Cameron dynasty, it's been described as a loose hegemony, with various tree thanes wielding authority. Clan-level Bosmeri society is matrilineal. A crucial figure is the Sylvanar, who is more than a political representative. They are the voice of the people, embodying the Bosmer people legally, physically, and emotionally, deeply tied to their collective will. The Green Lady, conversely, represents their raw physicality and primal past. Their union, sealed at the hand-fasting ceremony, is believed to make Valenwood whole.
A symbolic partnership.
Very much so. Despite being fierce warriors when defending the Green employing guerrilla tactics so effective, they have a famous poem titled The 1,000 Benefits of Hiding.
Hey, I like that title.
The Bosmer are considered the most pacifistic of Tamriel's modern races, never instigating war. They exhibit hospitality to those who respect their ways and have a long history of welcoming refugees, including Alides and Argonians. However, their ritual cannibalism often engenders mistrust from other races, even though they rely heavily on trade for resources like timber, river pearls, and charms made from dead wizards' finger bones.
Right. The cannibalism part is memorable.
It is. Their art and fashion are distinctive, featuring stylized interlocking floral motifs that reflect the forms given by Y'ffre, with leather as a common clothing component. They even have a sense of humor in fashion, with some items worn simply as a joke.
And what about their pantheon? Besides Y'ffre, who else do they worship, and how do their beliefs differ from other elven races?
Y'ffre, the Green, is central to their worship, seen as the world shaper and the source of the Green Pact. Among the Aedra, they venerate Mara, the goddess of love and fertility, and wife of Auriel, and Stendarr, whom they call the apologist of man, due to his mercy toward humans.
The apologist of man, interesting term.
Other deities include Zen, a god of vengeance and payment, thought to originate from Argonian or Akaviri mythology, often invoked by tree thanes for justice and by militant groups like the Stags of Zin. Aedra princes, like Hermamora, the woodland man, are seen as trickster spirits, and Joan and Jode represent the moons as spirits of fortune, reflecting the lunar connection also seen with the Khajiit.
Echoes of the Khajiit.
Like most elves, they do not forget Lorkhan, whom they view as the enemy of all Altmer, a figure tied to their cosmic fall. Sacred sites include Brackenleaf, fabled as one of Valenwood's first trees holding creation power, and the Eldest, an ancient strangler that embodies the very lifeblood of Greenshade. Notable factions include the Spinners of Y'ffre, who are mages enforcing the Green Pact and holding significant power, often influencing more than just spiritual matters through their stories and prophecies. Groups like the Stags of Zin are militant Bosmer, while the Dawnway presents an alternate philosophy to the Green Pact, showcasing internal cultural tensions within the Bosmer themselves.
So, not entirely unified even internally.
Rarely are any groups in Tamriel. Historically, Valenwood has faced significant conflicts. In 1 E369, in response to an impending imperial invasion, the Bosmer unleashed the first documented wild hunt, which resulted in the horrific death of Nord High King Borgus, ending the invasion before it could begin.
That wild hunt really changed things.
Massively. This event had huge ripple effects, kickstarting a 50-year war of succession in Skyrim and granting Morrowind and High Rock independence. The Altmer even used an artifact called the Flask of Lilendril to check Bosmer magical power during conflicts. Repeated Mariner attacks also destroyed cities like Haven and Woodhearth and sacked Eldenroot.
And as for artifacts, there's the Helm of Orin Bearclaw, a prized artifact that ironically has conflicting claims from the Bosmer, Dunmer, and Orcs regarding its true origin, further highlighting interracial disputes over historical lore.
That helmet gets around, doesn't it?
From the verdant embrace of Valenwood, let's move north to the varied landscapes of High Rock, a realm uniquely shaped by the long, often contentious history between humans and elves. You'll find everything from the temperate, often misty Glenumbra, home to the famous city of Daggerfall and the ancient battlefield of Glenumbra Moors, to the harsher, mountainous, and colder Rivenspire, with its boreal forests and tundras and the infamous Crypt of Hearts.
And don't forget the iconic Isle of Balfiera, site of the Adamantine Tower, arguably the oldest known building in Tamriel.
Right, the Adamantine Tower. And the Green Isle of Bettany, known for triggering a significant war.
What's truly fascinating about High Rock's inhabitants, the Bretons, is their unique heritage. They were a hybrid race of human and elven ancestry, often referred to as Manmiri, or half-elves, and sometimes disparagingly as degraded hybrids or a mongrel race.
Half-elf.
The earliest Bretons were physically more overtly elven in appearance, with pointed ears and slender builds. This mixed heritage gives them a unique perspective on Tamriel's oldest feud, the conflict between men and Mer as they embody elements of both.
Caught in the middle, in a way.
Exactly. Their origins are rooted in the interbreeding of native peoples, specifically the Druids of Galen, or Proto-Bretons, and the Aldmer, particularly Clan Durrani, going back centuries into the Merithic era. There's scholarly debate on who arrived first. Some believe Nedic civilization was already established when the Aldmer arrived, while others say the Needs came later. Regardless, children born from elf-Need relations were considered sub-Mer by their Durrani parents, but gained privileged positions among the Needs, forming the recognizable Breton caste. When the Durrani retreated to Balfiera, they left behind a feudal hierarchy, and the new Breton nobility then notably vilified the Durrani, fabricating a history of noble resistance to disassociate from their elven heritage and redefine themselves as non-elves, as the elf-blooded nobility consolidated their power.
Rewriting history to fit the narrative.
A classic move.
So it's not a cohesive nation then, but rather a collection of squabbling feudal lords.
Exactly. After Clan Durrani's retreat, High Rock fractured into 100 squabbling fiefdoms, leading to constant conflicts over borders and crowns. This feudal hierarchy consists of various noble titles, dukes, marquises, counts, barons, and knights, with the ruler of a territory outranking others regardless of specific title.
Always fighting amongst themselves.
Pretty much. They were even historically ruled by witch kings. While Tiber Septim eventually conquered these kingdoms with ease, he found it impossible to truly squash their sectarian conflicts, opting instead to entrust a governor to manage them. This inherent disunity is a defining characteristic of High Rock.
What defines Breton culture in their daily lives given this history of constant conflict and internal divisions?
Their culture is deeply influenced by constant warfare, leading to utilitarian yet often ornate fashion and armor that still displays a sophistication reminiscent of elven elegance.
Utilitarian elegance, nice.
They were also dominant in naval shipbuilding, with the House to Fort shipyards being among the premier shipbuilders in Tamriel, crucial for trade and defense. Bretons are known for their practical use of animals, from their formidable guard dogs like Shornhelm shepherds to unique pairings like piebald cats, used to manage beetle infestations, showcasing their pragmatic approach to daily life.
Practical indeed.
Their language, Bredic, is not widely spoken anymore, though older forms like Old Bredic survive in ceremonial texts. Some nobility once wrote in Aldmeris to show pride in their elven heritage. Their cuisine is considered among the best in Tamriel, famously applying alchemy principles to cooking, prioritizing the balance of essences and flavors. Figures like Donnellan, the legendary confectioner, and the Cyrodiil family, renowned vintners, highlight this culinary sophistication.
Breton food sounds amazing.
Musically, they play a variety of instruments, from lutes and drums to talharpas and bagpipes.
Bagpipes. In High Rock.
Apparently so, made from Horver bloat sacks, no less. In terms of factions and beliefs, there's a significant religious schism between the Druids of Galen and the Word. The Druids, who follow the true way of Wifri, believe in nature coexisting with civilization, sometimes choosing self-isolation. The Word, however, abandons civilization entirely, believing they are nature itself, rejecting any human structures. Both groups largely disapproved of each other.
Druids versus Weird.
The noble houses of Rivenspire, for example, maintain their own fighting forces and shared traditions, highlighting their feudal independence. Chivalric orders of knights, addressed as Sir or Dame, are also prominent, with each of the 8 divines having its own Templar order.
Right.
As for their religion, Bretons hold a core belief in 2 opposing forces, often called the light and the dark, which existed before the gods themselves. These forces are antithetical, yet evenly matched, defying mortal concepts of good and evil, with Aedra and Daedra seen as reflections of this eternal conflict.
Light and dark. Primal forces.
Mainstream worship focuses on the 8 divines. Akatosh, Arche, whose order maintains libraries and sages. Dibella, very popular with many cults, including the Order of the Lily. Julianos, Kynareth, Mara, Stendar, Telos, and Zenithar. Daedra worship is generally viewed negatively, described as needing cleansing, though King Kurag of the Orcs legitimized Moloch among his Daggerfall Covenant allies, and the Spirit Wardens of Azura were tolerated due to their charitable contributions. This shows a nuanced approach to Daedric influence, tolerating it when it served their interests.
Pragmatic again.
And what are some of the key historical events that have defined High Rock, given this internal fracturing?
Yeah, what wars shaped them?
Early on, the Durrani famously defeated the Alessian horde at Glenumbra Moors, a pivotal early victory for men. They also faced Yogadan raids, with the Redguards becoming historical enemies, and Akaviri pirates antagonized their coastal cities.
Constant threats.
A pivotal conflict was the Siege of Orsinium in 1E 948, a devastating 30-year campaign led by an alliance from Daggerfall and Sentinel against the Orcish king Golkar. This war involved King Joyl's betrayal of the Redguards, including a plot to kill Gaiden Shinji. The plundering of ivory from Orsinium actually fueled High Rock's economic expansion, highlighting how its internal conflicts often spilled outwards.
So war was good for business, in a way.
In a grim way, yes. The Bretons of Shornhelm later sacked the Second Orsinium in 2E 431, scattering the Orcs once more. In the 4th era, combined forces from Hammerfell and High Rock sacked Orsinium again, a recurring theme of Orc displacement. High Rock also assisted Hammerfell during the Great War, participating in the climactic Battle of the Red Ring against the Aldmeri Dominion, a rare moment of broad human unity.
As for artifacts, there's Chrysamere, an ancient adamantium claymore known as the Sword of Heroes with powerful defensive magic, and the Leiden's Ward, that healing shield, both exemplifying their martial and magical prowess.
Powerful items, fitting for a land of knights and battles.
From the human-elven complexities and feudal nature of High Rock, we now arrive at the geographical and political heart of Tamriel, Cyrodiil.
Ah, the heartland.
This is the imperial province, and its central location is key, bordering almost every other province. This proximity has, over centuries, fostered a truly unique and cosmopolitan culture.
Precisely. Cyrodiil, pronounced Cyrodiil, is effectively divided into two powerful regions that historically controlled much of the province: the western Colovian estates and the eastern Nebene Valley. While distinct in flavor, their underlying unity and constant interaction forged the Imperials into skilled bridge builders, diplomats, and traders, enabling them to maintain order across the vast empire for centuries.
Cyrodiil, got it.
The Imperials' defining cultural feature is indeed their cosmopolitanism. While individually some Imperials might appear arrogant, culturally, they are remarkably conciliatory and congenial. Romanoi, a pivotal figure, intentionally incorporated elements from various cultures, Akaviri, Colovian, Nibonese, and even High Rock, into a common whole to foster this diversity and unity within the heart of his empire.
A deliberate blending.
How does this cosmopolitanism manifest in their daily life and societal structure? What really sets them apart?
Yeah, what's the imperial flavor?
Well, there are clear regional differences that embody this. The Colovians in the West are known for their practical, martial traditions, producing things like distinctive fur products and the famous Colovian fur helmet. The Nibonese in the East represent the high culture of Cyrodiil, characterized by their love for philosophy, gaudy attire, and elaborate ceremonies.
Gaudy attire.
So the sources say. They cultivate sacred ancestor silk from the ancestor moth, which they believe holds the memories of the dead, and became a wealthy merchant power through their river network. Their architecture, too, reflects this diversity. While many buildings are limestone, you'll see Nordic influence in Bruma, Dunmer inspiration in Cyrodiil, and Redguard styles in Anvil, truly blending influences from every corner of Tamriel.
A real architectural mix.
Even the imperial city sewers, while now distinctly imperial, notably replaced much of the original allied plumbing and sewage. For clothing and weapons, ancestor moth silk can even be fashioned into high-quality light armor. The gladius is strongly associated with imperial culture, and the Seishi, an ancient Akaviri race, left a significant influence, with Imperials claiming some Akaviri descent and remnants of Seishi-style equipment like daikatanas still in use.
Akaviri influence, interesting.
Politically, the empire itself is the dominant force. Its main fighting arm is the Imperial Legion, often called the Red Legions or Ruby Ranks. Headquartered in the Imperial City Prison, they're renowned for their vast numbers, quality training, and rigid discipline, with their primary mission being to preserve peace and the rule of law across the empire.
The famous Legion.
The Elder Council, theoretically, assists the emperor, but has often wrestled substantial authority away from the throne, with legislative power and the emperor retaining a veto, a right famously exploited by Emperor Curiosities Septim VI. A historical example of a political shift was the short-lived Reachfolk dynasty known as the Longhouse Emperors, whose reign ended when Emperor Leovix legalized Daedral worship, which directly led to Duke Varan Aquilarius' rebellion, showcasing the deep cultural sensitivities around religion.
Legalizing Daedra worship.
Yeah, that sounds like it would cause problems.
Big problems. How do Imperials view the divine, especially given their role as the unifying force of the empire?
Right. What's their religious stance?
Imperial theosophy teaches that Aetherius is heaven, the plane of pure magica, and the seat of the divines and other original spirits. Its energy, they believe, infuses daily existence, bringing rain, love, and even scientific principles.
So magic is divine energy. Essentially, the 8 divines form the core of their mainstream worship. Akatosh, the dragon god of time and the first god to emerge. Arche, the god of burials and funeral rites. Dibella, the goddess of beauty, who has many popular cults. Julianos, the god of wisdom and logic. Canarith, the goddess of the air. Mara, the goddess of love. Stendar, the god of mercy and justice. Telos, or Tiber Septim, the ascended mortal hero god. And Zenithar, the god of work and commerce. This pantheon reflects their emphasis on order, structure, and prosperity.
The classic 9 if you count Talos.
Depends who you ask. Right. Other significant deities include Riemann, the culture god hero of the Second Empire, who famously convinced Akaviri invaders to help him build his empire and united most of Tamriel except Morrowind. He's also tied to the powerful Amulet of Kings, a central imperial relic. Morehouse, an ancient cultural hero god of the Cyro-Nordics, is associated with Kynareth and the Thuum. Shazar, the god of man, originally depicted as a warlord fighting against the Allies, had his worship changed after Alessia's victory to appease both her elven and Nordic allies, eventually fading due to increased racial tolerance.
Shazar. Sounds like Lurkan again.
Very likely connected, yes. Daedra worship generally is viewed with strong distaste, and its legalization by Emperor Leovic famously led to civil war. However, there are some acceptable blasphemes listed, showing a pragmatic awareness of the Daedric princes, especially when their influence can be managed or contained.
Acceptable blasphemies. I like that phrase.
And what about the defining historical events that have shaped Cyrodiil and its empire?
Yeah, the big moments.
The Alessian Rebellion, led by Alessia, was a pivotal event that established human control over Cyrodiil, marking the end of Allied domination. The Reman dynasty, under Rimmon I, then went on to unite much of Tamriel, establishing the Second Empire. The Oblivion Crisis in 3E433 was a true cataclysm that devastated the empire, leading to the rise of Titus Mede, who seized the imperial city and declared a new dynasty, bringing an end to the Septim era.
The end of an era, literally.
More recently, the Great War was fought against the formidable Third Aldmeri Dominion, a conflict that greatly weakened the empire and led to significant shifts in power dynamics across Tamriel. And again, just reinforce for you, the pronunciation of the province is Cyrodiil, like Cyrodiil.
Cyrodiil. Got it memorized now. Lastly, on artifacts, there's the Amulet of Kings, central to the emperors, containing the Chimel Adabal, a powerful soul gem with Akatosh's divine power, essential for lighting the dragon fires. The Boots of the Apostle, rumored to grant levitation and relics of Tiber Septim, and the Lord's Mail, also called the Armor of Morahouse, a heavy armor gifted by Kynareth that absorbs health and resists spells and poison, a true imperial relic.
Iconic items, steeped in imperial history.
Now let's move to the west, to the arid and often hostile deathlands of Hammerfell. This environment isn't just a backdrop. Conquering it is practically synonymous with Redguard culture.
It's a land of stifling, sandy winds, baking rocks that would literally brand one's feet, and terrible, dangerous creatures dwelling in its crags and dunes. This harsh landscape has truly shaped its people.
No kidding.
The Redguards are a human race with roots tracing back to the sunken continent of Yokuda. They are widely reputed as the most naturally talented warriors in Tamriel, brilliant battlefield tacticians, and remarkably quick to adapt new styles of armor and weaponry.
Natural warriors.
They possess a natural resistance to poison, an impressive fleetness of foot, and have a deep love for traveling, adventuring, and sailing the high seas, often found serving as sailors and mercenaries across Tamriel.
Right, you see them everywhere.
They are, in fact, comparative newcomers to Tamriel. Every other modern race was already established before the Regatta, or warrior wave, arrived on Tamriel's shores in 1E808. Despite the advanced culture they brought, their martial nature and forceful establishment of themselves earned them a long-standing reputation among other races as barbarians and cutthroats.
The Regatta.
Later in the First Era, they faced a devastating invasion of giant goblins, which was thwarted thanks to the leadership of Derek Hallen, who restored the teachings of Frandar Hunding in his Book of Circles, a text that remains integral to Redguard life and their way of the sword.
What defines their distinct culture, given this martial and nomadic heritage? How do they live, literally, in such a challenging environment?
Their martial society is deeply ingrained. Many of their modern holidays originate from pre-Tamrielic Yokuda, adapted to their new homeland. Daily life revolves around combating the intense heat. Farming is arduous, and food is often dehydrated or salted for storage. Flatbreads are baked within seconds on searing hot stones, not ovens, and hot peppers that grow in their homeland are highly prized.
Life shaped by the heat.
Their fashion and armaments also tell a story. Yokudan predecessors famously favored the sword. Viewing it as an extension of themselves, a tradition continued with the scimitars modern Redguards use, adorned with elaborate patterns harkening back to Yokudan sword saint traditions. The material orichalcum held special religious significance for ancient Yokudans, believed to be given by the god Diagna for victory against the left-handed elves. Their jewel crafting methods remain largely unchanged from Yokudan times.
Orichalcum. That sounds familiar.
They have a great affinity for horses, bringing many from Yokuda, the Yokudan chargers being exceptional at traversing the Alakar Desert and the primary steed for their equivalent of knights, the gallants of Hammerfell. Culturally, they've absorbed some Akavirian Zashi influences, and their cosmopolitan coastal cities often blend Breton and imperial fashion and architecture with a distinct Yokudan flair.
You mentioned an internal division within Redguard society, the famous crowns versus the forebears. How does this split manifest, and what are its implications for Hammerfell?
This is a fundamental split that has shaped much of Hammerfell's internal politics. The crowns adhere to the most ancient Yokudan pantheon and traditions. They are often nomadic tribesmen of the Alakar, developing a deep spiritual attachment to their adopted land and a resistance to outside influence.
The traditionalists.
Exactly. The forebears, on the other hand, are descended from the Regatta warrior class and were exposed to Nedic and later Breton and imperial traditions. They're more cosmopolitan, seek modernity, and are generally more welcoming of foreigners, often reorganizing their traditional gods into the imperial pantheon of the divines.
The modernists, almost.
Pretty much. Forebears predominate in coastal cities, while crowns are more common in secluded desert regions. This division often leads to political friction, sometimes even open conflict within the province.
Constant tension.
Another unique group is the Ashaba, an ancient secretive tribe referred to as unclean people. They are shunned by mainstream Redguard society for disregarding religious taboos, by destroying the undead, even honored ancestors.
Shunned for fighting undead? That seems counterintuitive.
It's about religious taboo regarding the dead. Despite being outcast nomads, their existence is tolerated due to the necessity of their role in purifying mausoleums and performing the annual rite of royal rest at Tawaka's throne to ensure departed monarchs rest peacefully. They believe the body is sacred and strive to preserve it while banishing unholy essence.
Unnecessary evil in their eyes.
Sort of. Then there are the Sword Singers, an order of Yokudan warriors who follow the way of the sword, a martial philosophy on blade mastery, capable of astonishing feats and instrumental in claiming Hammerfell. The Ansei, or Sword Saints, were the greatest among them, with Frandarhunding's writings revered centuries later.
The legendary Sword Singers.
How does their religion reflect this contrast between ancient tradition and modern influence, particularly with the crowns and forebears?
Yeah, how do the gods line up?
The crowns primarily stick to the ancient Yokudan pantheon, venerating deities and spirits from pixies to Sadakal the Worldskin, a fusion of Anu and Padme, similar to the malevolent Nordic Eldwin, who destroys everything to begin anew. Their creation myth views the mortal plane as a trap, akin to elven traditions.
Sadakal, like Eldwin.
Similar concept, yes. Vupka, Kalpapa, is their chief deity, the first god to survive Sadakal's hunger, and Ansi the Bone Shaver is a notable warrior god. The forebears, however, incorporate imperial influences, including divines like Akatosh, Julianos, Dibella, and Stendar. Other figures include Maluk, the Horde King, who led goblins against the Regatta, and Sep, the Yokudan Lorcan, who they view as a crazy merchant god who tricked spirits into creating the mortal world as a trap.
Sep, another Lorcan variant. He really gets around.
He does. Despite their strong abhorrence for necromancy and interaction with the undead, the Ashaba exist out of necessity, and the Ansei wards were ancient relics created to prevent the consecrated dead from being raised.
What were some of the key historical conflicts that shaped Hammerfell, particularly its stance against other powers?
Early on, they thwarted that giant goblin invasion with the help of Derek Hallen. The arrival of the Regatta led to significant conquests, pushing out Nords and raiding Breton coastal cities, establishing them as a formidable presence.
Making their mark.
They were also heavily involved in the 30-year siege of Orsinium, demonstrating their martial prowess alongside High Rock. More recently, in the early 4th era, Hammerfell, along with High Rock, sacked Orsinium again, continuing a long-standing rivalry. Most notably, Hammerfell fought fiercely against the Altmer Dominion during the Great War, assisting High Rock, and eventually gained its independence from the Empire. A unique outcome for a human province, culminating in their decisive victory at the Battle of the Red Ring.
Independence from the Empire, that's huge.
It really is. This cemented their position as the formidable power in Tamriel. And as for artifacts, there's the Soul Sword, imbued with the soul of Prince Adolfur after his death, a powerful weapon that communicates with its wielder, symbolizing their deep connection to their past heroes.
All right, let's travel now to a fascinating and often embattled region. Orsinium, the ancestral orc town that's less a fixed province and more a concept, often located on the boundary between Western Hrothgar and Rivenspire in High Rock. It's a testament to the sheer resilience of its people.
That's a great way to put it. Orcish towns and strongholds are typically built next to natural resources, varying by region stone in High Rock, wood in Skyrim. They're famously built to withstand siege, making them incredibly resilient and often persisting for millennia, rebuilt even after being destroyed.
Built to last, or at least be rebuilt.
Exactly. The orcs themselves, or Orsimer meaning cursed or pariah folk in Aldmeris, have a complex identity. They do possess elven blood, but are often grouped with beast folk or goblin-kin by other races. They are known for their unshakable courage and unflinching endurance, and have a lifespan similar to humans, with their own language, Orcish, which notably has no concept of goodbye, as they come and go as they please, reflecting their independent spirit.
Orsimer, the pariah folk. Their origins are among the most debated topics in Tamrielic lore, aren't they? It's fascinating how different accounts paint such different pictures.
Absolutely. The main account states that the Orcish race was created when their patron god, Trenimac, a strong warrior spirit of the early Aldmer, was transformed by the Daedric prince Boethia into Malakath, the god of curses.
Trenimac becomes Malakath.
His faithful elven followers then became the Orsimer, or cursed folk. The Dunmeri account adds a particularly gruesome detail, claiming Boethia devoured Trenimac whole and then relieved herself of him, and that excrement became Malakath, with his followers changing when they rubbed this soil of Trenimac on themselves.
That's graphic.
It is. Some bigoted Altmer even go so far as to call orcs the feculents of Boethia. There's even a comical children's story from Cyrodiil that depicts Boethia tricking, swallowing, and then excreting Trenimac as a massive pile of dung that becomes Malakath, transforming his followers into orcs.
Okay, slightly less graphic.
However, there's a strong alternative view. Some sources cast doubt on these elven origins, painting orcs as aboriginal beast folk who lived in Tamriel as early as the Late Dawn era, predating the Velothi Exodus. For example, Topol the Pilot, an early Aldmeri explorer, recounted encountering cannibal orcs in southern High Rock before elven arrival.
Before the elves even got there.
That's the implication. This has led scholars to ponder if perhaps the elven-laced narrative is flawed, and that orcs were an aboriginal tribe all along. It's truly fascinating how even the sources themselves sometimes question their own elven-leaning accounts, underscoring the contested and complex nature of Orcish identity.
So nobody really knows for sure.
Pretty much. So how did these various, often painful origin stories and constant struggles shape their culture and society? What does it look like inside their strongholds?
Yeah, what's orc life like?
Despite how other imperial citizens often regard orc society as rough and cruel, the orcs themselves consider their society stern, fair, and just. Traditional life in their strongholds is central, characterized by strong communal bonds. Though many orcs, particularly women, seek to escape, joining the Imperial Legion, traveling, or seeking fortune, rather than being just another wife to a chieftain.
Seeking independence.
Those who live in cities with other races are derisively called city orcs by stronghold orcs, seen as soft outsiders, highlighting that internal cultural divide.
Stronghold orcs versus city orcs.
Their craftsmanship is renowned. While they are famous smiths, they are also skilled artisans in other areas, creating delicate and beautiful artwork and tapestries depicting ancient heroes, battles, and hunts. They construct bronze or stone statues of Orcish figures, taking hundreds of hours to build, and erect symbolic totems to mark territory or herald war.
More than just smiths, then.
Definitely. They even bred smaller mammoths, called pocket mammoths, as livestock, though many later escaped into the wild. The Iron Orcs of Craglorn domesticate Welwa as war beasts, and the Seamount clan even claims their ancestors tamed killer whales for war in the Abetian Sea.
Tamed killer whales.
That's the claim. When an orc dies, their remains are traditionally burned to ashes. For orcs of great stature, such as leaders or heroes, their ashes or blood are forged into swords, shields, or other items through a practice called the Beshkarnor, or Death Forge, ensuring their spirit lives on in battle.
Forged into weapons. Powerful imagery.
Let's talk about the recurring theme in their history, the Orsiniums. They've been built and sacked multiple times, almost like a tragic cycle.
The rise and fall, again and again.
Indeed. The first Orsinium was built in the 10th century of the First Era. King Golkar amassed an army, leading to the infamous Siege of Orsinium in 1E 948. This was a devastating 30-year campaign led by an alliance from Daggerfall and Sentinel aimed at destroying the Orc homeland. He was marred by King Joil of Daggerfall's betrayal, including a plot to assassinate the Red Guard hero Gaiden Shinji and the Orcish hero Beloth Bloodtusk. After its sacking, the plundering of ivory from Old Orsinium significantly fueled High Rock's economic expansion.
Benefiting from the destruction.
A second Orsinium was later accepted as a territory of the Second Empire under Akaviri potentate Severian Chorak, but it lost its status and protection after his assassination in 2E 430 and was sacked again in 2E 431 by the Bretons of Shornhelm, scattering the orcs across northern Tamriel. In the Fourth Era, Orsinium was sacked yet again by the combined forces of Hammerfell and High Rock, leading many orc refugees to flee into Skyrim.
Constantly displaced.
Despite this history of destruction, King Kurog's Orsinium in the Second Era was an impressive architectural feat, featuring plumbing, bathhouses, and guilds, with plans for further expansion, showing their enduring will to rebuild and thrive. Their religion centers around Malakath, also known as Malok, as their patron god, whom they view as the god of curses and the god of the spurned, reflecting their own experiences as outcasts. Vaya's golden ash is considered a powerful symbol of orc unity, heritage, and strength.
And artifacts. That helm again?
Yes. The helm of Orenberklaw, as we mentioned, has a conflicted attribution, with some claiming it as an Orcish relic, while others attribute it to the Bosmer or Dunmer, symbolizing the broader struggles over historical truth in Tamriel.
Our journey across Tamriel now takes us to the eastern province of Elsweyr, the sun-baked, moon-kissed home of the Khajiit.
The Khajiit.
It's a land of stark geographical contrasts, from the hot, arid deserts of Anaquina in the north, including the Scar and the Rim territories, to the wet, often poisonous jungles and rainforests of Palatine in the south. You'll find regions like the Quinral Peninsula and the Tenmar Forest, and offshore, islands like Canarthi's Roost.
The Khajiit have adapted ingeniously to this environment, even managing extensive irrigation projects for moon sugar farming in dry regions like Reaper's March, showing their resourcefulness.
Moon sugar.
They are cat-like people, known for their high intelligence and agility, making them exceptional thieves and acrobats, though they are rarely mages. Their anatomy with fur, tails, and different digestive systems sets them apart, leading them to be categorized as beast races alongside Argonians and Imga. Their lifespan is similar to humans, but documented cases of crossbreeding with other races are rare. Unfortunately, their unique appearance and behavior often make them targets of racial discrimination, and the term catmen is frequently used pejoratively by outsiders.
Always the outsiders, it seems. They are renowned for their many forms, aren't they? It's one of the most distinctive aspects of their race. How are these determined, and what are some examples?
That's one of the most fascinating aspects of Khajiit lore, and it speaks to their deep connection to the cosmos. Their physical appearance, or furstock, is entirely determined by the phases of Tamriel's two moons, Maser and Secunda, at the moment of their birth.
Born under the moons, literally.
Literally. This lunar influence creates an incredibly diverse range of forms. For instance, the Alfic are small, quadrupedal, housecat-like Khajiit. They are magically gifted and, despite common misconceptions, can speak, often casting spells through their tails.
Talking house cats casting spells? Okay.
Then you have the Pomerat, larger, tiger-like Khajiit, and the legendary hero Khanzari was one of these. The Senshi are large, quadrupedal Khajiit, sometimes confused with less intelligent Senshi cats, and their souls are believed to be the purest and most incorruptible of all Khajiit. Some can even be used as mounts if they permit it, showcasing their utility and diversity.
Riding giant cats.
Their creation myth is also very unique and central to their understanding of the world. They believe Nirn and Azura were born from Fatamai. Azura, through 3 secrets, was tasked with changing one of Nirn's children, making them the fastest, cleverest, and most beautiful. These became the Khajiit.
Azura's chosen people.
They were also tasked with being the best climbers to set the moons aright, and the best deceivers to hide their true nature. Fatamai set the moons, Joan and Jode, in the sky to guide and protect her children from Honor, a malevolent force. In their afterlife, Canarthi acts as a psychopomp, guiding spirits of deceased Khajiit to the afterlife of Elsweyr, the sands behind the stars, where they await the next pounce to fight for creation.
The sands behind the stars. Beautiful.
Namira, whom they identify with Lorkach born amidst the great darkness, is Canarthi's antithesis, pulling souls into the dark behind the world to become Droma-Athra, which are combated by dust canticles. This cosmic battle for Khajiiti souls is central to their beliefs and explains why certain Daedra princes are seen in very different light by them.
Good versus evil, Khajiit style.
Ancient Elsweyr was even ruled by a moon emperor, leading to moon-venerating architecture evident in places like Dune's high walls. Politically, Elsweyr was historically composed of 16 kingdoms, which later unified into 2, eventually forming the Elsweyr Confederacy. This unity, however, has often been tested by significant historical events and outside pressures.
What are some of those key historical events and conflicts that have shaped Elsweyr, and how have they influenced the Khajiit's relationship with other races?
In the Merethic era, the continent was dominated by Khal Grantide and his horde of dragons, who sought to consume the moon's lunar power. The Khajiit hero Khazari and his companions devised a clever plan to trap them in the halls of Colossus, where they became a fabled demon weapon.
Dragons sealed away.
Later, in 1E 243, when Alessia persecuted the Aelides, the Atatar clan sought refuge in Khajiiti lands, though most perished, showcasing the dangers of seeking refuge from powerful human empires. The infamous Pelennor Whitestrake also mistakenly slew many Khajiit, confusing them for Altmer, though he either realized his error or was repelled by Alkosh, another example of how misunderstandings and biases shaped early interracial conflicts.
Pelenor's rampage.
During the Second Empire, after its fall, the Khajiit granted asylum to Sisi near Riven, which led to the construction of the Tononoka, showing their willingness to integrate foreign cultures. A devastating event was the Nahitan flu in 2E 560, which ravaged Elsweyr, first appearing in Central and rapidly spreading, leaving the region unprepared and vulnerable.
The Nahitan flu. Terrible.
In the Second Era, Elsweyr, through the Khajiit, joined the Altmer and Bosmer to form the first Altmer dominion via the Eldon Accord, aligning with other elven races for mutual protection and expansion. A more recent traumatic event was the Dragons over Elsweyr in 2E 582, when Imperial battle mage Abner Tharn inadvertently unleashed the dragons from the halls of Colossus.
Abner Tharn, always causing trouble.
These dragons initially allied with Queen Euraxia Tharn of Rimmon, then swiftly betrayed her. Kalgrontide, the dragon leader, was eventually defeated through the combined efforts of the Vestige, the reformed Dragon Guard aided by the Red Dragon Nafalar and Queen Chimera's forces. Abner Tharn's ultimate sacrifice was necessary to stop the Dark Aeon from destroying Tamriel.
A heavy price.
Following the dissolution of the Confederacy, Elsweyr engaged in the 5-year war with Valenwood, a conflict between former allies. Most recently, in the Fourth Era, Elsweyr, along with Black Marsh, seceded from the Empire after the Oblivion Crisis, highlighting their assertion of independence after a major imperial crisis.
Independent again.
Their unique pantheon reflects their lunar connection. Alkosh, the first cat, replaces Akka in their modern pantheon. Boethra, their name for Boethia, is seen as a warrior of the East and West, a teacher of old ways, and patron of warriors and exiles. Mafla, their Mefla, is the clan mother of dark secrets, also a teacher of old ways and an ally of Azura, Boethra, and Lorkaj. As mentioned, Lorkaj, their Lorkhan, was born amidst the Great Darkness and became Namira, and of course, Joan and Jode being the ever-present moons.
A very different take on the Daedra. As our deep dive comes to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the immense diversity we've uncovered across these provinces. From the Altmer's gleaming crystal tower to the Argonians' ancient histories, from the Bosmer's strict green pact to the Red Guard's scorching deserts, and the contested origins of the orcs to the cosmopolitan imperial heartland, it's clear how deeply geography, climate, and ancient origins laid the foundation for such distinct cultures and races.
What's truly synthesized from all this is how geography often plays a profound role in what might seem like destiny. The sea-insulated Somerset, fostering those arcane Altmeri societies and their insular pride.
Right.
The treacherous swamps shaped the Argonians' fluid, impermanent way of life and their deep connection to the Hist. The dense forest defined the Bosmer's symbiotic green pack and their unique adaptations. The very terrain of High Rock led to that fractured feudal system, and the arid deathlands of Hammerfell forged the Red Guard's renowned martial prowess and independence. Meanwhile, Cyrodiil's central location naturally made it a hub of cosmopolitanism, allowing the Imperials to unify such disparate elements for a time.
Geography's destiny.
And this leads directly into understanding the core cultural identities we've discussed. The Altmer's rigid pursuit of apotheosis and their disdain for lesser races, the Argonians' profound, soul-deep connection to the Hist and their cyclical view of existence, the Bosmer's symbiotic green pack, which is so often misunderstood, and their primal wild hunt, the Bretons' complex human-elven hybridity and their struggle for a unified identity amidst their many fiefdoms, the Khajiit's forms dictated by lunar phases and their cosmic dance between divine forces, the Orcs' contested origins, their enduring resilience and fierce loyalties, and the Imperials' unique ability to absorb and centralize diverse elements into a powerful, if sometimes fragile, empire.
Such incredible variety. And it's these very identities forged in such different crucibles that inevitably led to interprovincial fractures. This is the aha moment. It's this constant interplay, this push and pull of diverse cultures, political systems, and conflicting beliefs that makes Tamriel such a dynamic, often violent, and endlessly fascinating world.
Yeah, absolutely. The Altmeri Dominion's push for elven rule clashed with the human alliances. The Bosmer's fierce protective measures for the green, sometimes involving the destructive wild hunt, caused conflict with their neighbors. The centuries of rivalry and warfare between Bretons, Orcs, and Redguards defined the Iliac Bay region, and the complex, often violent history of slavery and invasion between the Dunmer and Argonians shaped the East.
Conflict everywhere.
Cataclysmic events like the Oblivion Crisis or the eruption of Red Mountain often serve not just as isolated disasters, but as catalysts that exacerbate these existing fault lines, leading to further fragmentation and dramatic power shifts across the continent. It's not just a collection of distinct regions, but a deeply interconnected, complex ecosystem of societies, each contributing to the continent's rich and ever-evolving story.
And that brings us to our final thought for you, our listener. Knowing how profoundly geography, culture, race, and religion intertwine to shape these distinct provinces, what unexpected alliances or conflicts might still be forming beneath the surface of Tamriel, waiting for the right spark to once again redefine its destiny? We encourage you to continue your own deep dives into the lore and explore those questions for yourself. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the provinces of Tamriel. It's been an incredible journey.
We hope this exploration has made a vast and dense world not just accessible, but truly intriguing, and that you feel more well-informed about the hidden currents that shape this continent.